Alrighty guys, hi, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having an amazing day today. As always, if you're new or returning and you haven't yet already, please be sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down below. I will try my best to see you there. As you can tell by today's title, I am going to be addressing some things. So a lot of new people are here and I appreciate every single one of you. I believe a lot of why I have gotten some traction lately is because of the live stream that I held on Friday that Katie from Without a Crystal Ball came into and did her own thing in my chat section. A lot of people were complimenting me and telling me, that they thought I did a good job, that I didn't feed into her and all of that. And I appreciate all of the kind words. I really don't think I would have escalated more because that's just not my personality due to the work that I have done before. However, I did not see all of her comments. And, being on Twitter and on Instagram, I saw parts of what she was saying in my chat that I didn't see when the chat was going on. So this video is going to be me responding and kind of talking about some of the things that she was saying in my chat because she lied on me in one thing. She also is showing some very hypocritical behavior that she is reflecting onto a smaller creator who's relatively new to the platform that she doesn't even hold herself accountable to. And I find that interesting. And could people claim that this is being a little bit petty? Yeah, and I could probably agree with the fact that some of this is petty. However, there are some points that I want to talk about that I think are important to talk about. I also want to go ahead and say at the beginning here, the reason I held this stream, for anyone who doesn't know or who didn't pick up on the fact, I had worked as an investigator for the Department of Children and Families in Florida for over 3 years. I had prefaced with that. I also had prefaced and had mentioned a few times, I have personal experience from being in the system. I was in foster care from infancy to 10 years old. So I have a lot of experience with CPS. I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable. I'm not saying different states don't operate differently. Absolutely not. That was a lot of why I held this stream, was to talk about how different states operate differently. And I even pulled up how Minnesota operates versus what I'm used to working in Florida. So I am aware that I am not all knowing when it comes to CPS. However, I utilize my channel in a way to try and help educate and inform, as well as provide commentary. My channel is a mod podge of everything, to be quite honest. I've not narrowed myself down to just one thing. So I can understand people who maybe haven't been on my channel or aren't super familiar with me, not really understanding like why I'm providing commentary about such a serious topic. That is why I have provided my education and my experience with the system on a multitude of situations. I have talked about previous CPS cases that unfortunately didn't fare well, and that is going to be a series on my channel. I have also talked about it from other media hitting stories like the Long family. I talked about them, and a lot of people didn't like my coverage because I did talk about it from the perception of being in the field before, just like I talked about Katie and her CPS stuff. And yes, I labeled the video inconsistencies because, as I pointed out during the beginning of the stream, there were some inconsistencies. I never questioned the fact that CPS was at her house. I never questioned that it was a right thing for CPS to be at her house. I never questioned that. I was questioning her different answers as to how the case was closed, and I was utilizing it more for a way of education. I understand that the word inconsistency wasn't very well liked, and that was shown in some of her comments here. And I will say, just to clear the air for anybody, that yes, she did reach out to me in DMs. No, I do not plan on sharing that conversation. I will hold her respect as long as she holds mine. However, I will say it's not going to, what she had talked to me about in DMs is not going to change the fact that she's still a public figure. She still can be talked about. And what I said in this video, in this live stream, and in other videos covering her, my opinions kind of still remain the same. So with all of that being said, I did a live stream for almost an hour and 40 minutes on Friday. And at about the hour and 20-minute mark, Katie came into the chat. Now, if you're new to my channel and you haven't engaged in a live chat with me, I try my best to acknowledge as many people and talk to as many people in my chats as possible, meaning I get behind in my chat. I'm usually not on the up and up when people are coming in. I'm usually several minutes, if not even longer than that, behind, because I like to have that sense of community during live streams. So I did fall behind in the chat. Also, we have to keep in mind that probably about at the hour 10-minute mark, no longer was I discussing inconsistencies. I was answering people's questions in the chat. And primarily people were asking about CPS and how CPS operates. They were throwing out hypotheticals. I was throwing out hypothetical situations just to help answer people's questions and to help people understand how CPS works from my knowledge. And Katie came in towards the end. Now I am going to start showing what she said, because some people who are on my channel and who are fellow creators and stuff like that, or fellow people who were in the chat but just unable to see what she was saying, I am going to share all of what she said, but I'm going to skim over. Let me tell you guys, this is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video because there are 70 screenshots here. And that means that Katie commented 70 times in like a 15-minute time frame, which it is what it is. She was trying to engage with myself in the chat. I'm not really going to hold that. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm going to go through each one and talk about the ones that I want to, and we're going to go from there. So we're going to go ahead and get on into this. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing. So here is the very first. I'm probably going to exit myself out so you guys can just see what's going on here. So here's the very first message. Is she comes in at an hour and 20 minutes and 21 seconds and says, "This is beyond disturbing." At this point, I was just answering people's questions. Her next comment shortly after that was, "If I have questions, why didn't I send her a DM?" I would like to pose this to her, and I'm not going to leak any parts of our personal conversations, but I can almost 100% guarantee that she does not contact all of the people that she discusses. Otherwise, she would have never been in a lawsuit with Tati Westbrook, James Westbrook, and Halo Beauty had she had reached out to them before she made her multiple videos and things like that. I do understand that it is like common practice to try and reach out to creators if you can. It's like a respect thing. However, it is not always possible. And when you are looking at a small creator versus a very large creator, it's kind of like known that chances are they're too busy and they're not going to interact with you. Now, I will say, and this does come up later, I had a previous conversation with Katie, and we will get to that near the end of going through these. But it was clear at this point that I had already been blocked on Twitter. And I'm the kind of person, if you block me on one platform, I'm not going to go behind that block on another platform or on a sock account. I don't have any sock accounts to know what's going on. So if you block me on Twitter, I'm going to assume you don't want to talk to me, and I'm not going to try and reach out to you. I mean, that's kind of common sense to me, but maybe she likes to think of things differently. Maybe she's block happy on Twitter. I don't know. So let's continue. The next one is, she cannot believe that I am monetizing her son when I criticize her for talking about other children. Let's clear the air here. I wasn't talking about her son. I think I mentioned her son one time, and it was in relation to a comment. I have never really talked about her son specifically. So she clearly either jumped in this live stream or is just assuming what my other content is about when I have given her criticism and feedback. I have criticized her of talking about other children because the way that she covered the Sophie Long case, I did not appreciate, as well as several other people didn't appreciate. I stand in my own opinion that I don't agree with how she decided to cover that case and the information that she decided to share to the public that I personally don't think was her place. So yeah, I have criticized her for that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially when I have not talked about her son directly, and I've definitely not said anything bad about her son or even her parenting to this day. So I don't know where this is coming from. I think this is a preconceived notion of what she had of me. The next comment was, I cannot believe you would do this. I'm sorry. I was trying to help educate, break stigmas, and reduce stereotypes about the system. And because she has offered all of this information and her experience out to her platform, and some of it didn't make sense to me, it's fair game. Like, I was not being disrespectful in how I've covered this. And I'm going to try my best to remain calm. But to be honest, after going through all of what she said, I'm not calm about this. I'm actually very upset and very mad about how she behaved in my chat. And I'm glad I didn't see all of this. I would like to think I wouldn't have escalated, but I can't be sure because in watching this, I get frustrated. The next one she said was, you have my DMs. As I said during this live stream, she had mine. It's a two-way street. I do not like when creators, this is a personal preference of mine, when creators say, well, you should have reached out to me in DMs. You could have also reached out to that person in DMs. It's a two-way street. I had been blocked by her on, like I said, on one platform. I'm not going to go around that. I'm going to assume you don't care and you don't want to talk to me. Then she says, hey, Amanda, stop ignoring me. Like I said earlier, I was behind in the chat. This is also very controlling for her to come onto another creator's chat, especially knowing the channel difference, because she very clearly wanted to always talk about how Tati had a larger platform than her. She has a larger platform compared to me. And she came into my chat and told me what I should be doing with my channel and how I should be conducting myself. I don't think she was ever disrespected like that on her channel. But if I recall correctly, she used to do this to Unirock's channel. She would go on Unirock's channel and he would allow her to bully his chat and to push her thoughts onto everybody. And he was very submissive in the fact that he never told her to stop. The most iconic one that I can think of and that I watched happen was when everything was happening with Creepshow. And I'm not trying to bring that up and like talk about that, but I'm just saying like that is the one thing that comes to my mind. Then she says, stop talking about her son. A minute later, and I still wasn't even referring to her son. So I don't know for the minute she was in this chat, she was even listening to what was being talked about. She says that this is absolutely disgusting. Again, I don't know how educating people is disgusting and answering people's questions. I don't find how that's gross. Then she says the media as a whole was reporting on the PPP loans. So somebody in the chat had given Katie a criticism about PPP loans. And because I was behind in the chat and wasn't aware she was doing all of this in my chat already, I was addressing people in my chat. And I don't remember what I said. I don't think PPP loans is something anyone really should be covering. Like, if you're going to cover it, but like, it is what it is. Like, it's content, right? I don't know why this one is so small. But then she says, I can't believe you are live talking about agencies. I had CPS in my house. And again, I never said she didn't have CPS. The whole part that I was discussing and going through with everybody was starting the conversation on, yes, her inconsistencies, but allowing it to open the discussion to talk about CPS in general, which I appreciate because I have actually been able to have that conversation with you guys. She then says, I don't know why this is so small. She then goes on to say, how dare I talk about whether CPS was at her house? Again, I wasn't questioning the fact that CPS was there. So she clearly had not listened to the content or the context of what I was talking about. Oh no. I don't know why it stopped. She said, how dare I talk about, this one says, how dare I talk about CPS, whether CPS was at her house. Again, I didn't really question whether CPS was at her house or not. She then says, her next comment is, it's gross that I'm monetizing this. It was a live stream, so during the live, it's not monetized. Yeah, you can get super chats, but I really rarely get super chats, and I appreciate everybody who did send super chats just to spite her. I appreciate that, even if they were just trying to prove a point to her. I wasn't getting super chats. And if you go back and watch other live streams of mine, I typically don't, because I don't implore people to super chat just to get a question or a comment answered. The next one says, because I addressed that, she said you can get super chats from it, which she's right. I absolutely could have. I wasn't, though, not until she said something. The next one is, there's two here. How much more money are you going to make about talking about my life? CPS was at my house. Clearly, again, she continues throughout this whole time to say CPS was at her house. I never questioned that they were. I questioned her 3 different reasons for saying her case was closed, all which means something different, which is why I said that there were inconsistencies. It is an inconsistency that you're providing a different answer to the same question. I'm not calling you a liar for having CPS, which I believe is what she thinks I was trying to say, is that she was lying. No, I just stated that there were inconsistencies in how you were reporting that your case was closed. Also, in regards to making so much money, I've hardly made any money on anybody as a creator on this platform. My channel's not that large. Have I made money? Absolutely. It's probably not been more than $100, to be honest. Then she says, I'm right here. I don't know if that was in response to me or someone else. She then responds and says she has no reason to lie. Again, I think she thought that when I put inconsistencies in the title, she automatically thought I was calling her a liar, which was not the case. This is the same one from before. I think I may have duplicated a couple of the messages by accident. There were so many. Then she says this, I thought you were done talking about me. In one of Katie's videos, live streams that she does late at night on her couch or her love seat, she briefly mentioned me and a couple of other channels and saying how, you know, she appreciates how we had backed off. And I put a comment on that video of hers and I said, you know, you might want to actually listen to what I said in that live stream, because what I had said was, or my video is, I had said I was going to stop engaging with her, not because of just her, but because of how everything has gotten so toxic. But I had the caveat, and I always have had the caveat, that if behavior is really problematic or something that I can't avoid, I will discuss it, which is what happened. And in addition, who is she to gatekeep what I decide to make my content about? I mean, to be honest, like, I'm not trying to be catty, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of over that kind of entitlement from her. Then she says gross. I don't know if she was referring to what I was saying or to me being gross. But then we get this lovely gem, that you are beyond gross. So she is calling me beyond gross for educating and breaking down stereotypes. But you're an advocate, Katie, right? No, ma'am. You should not go to anybody, especially as a larger creator. Going onto a smaller creator's platform and behaving in this manner is absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. The behavior is disgusting. Then she says there are no inconsistencies. And I tried to tell her in this live stream that, yeah, there are inconsistencies. And I tried to tell her what the inconsistencies were. And all she can get hung up on is that somewhere, somehow, she thought I said CPS wasn't at her house, which is absolutely not what I was saying at all. So let's go on to the next one. She then says, I am the one, you are the one that has made tons dragging me. Again, I've not made very much money off of her, but what I also want to show here is I'm going to pull my channel over and we're going to go over this with you guys really quick. So I have this that we did today. Let's talk about CPS. My open discussions that I do every Monday to help the community and to give people an outlet to talk about serious issues. The video that she came in on. Then I talk about YouTubers. So I talked about her 4 days ago. Let's see when the last time was that I talked about Katie. It's not seeming like any for a while where I actually talk about Katie herself. I mean, I'm still scrolling right here. 2 months ago, I called her out because I was frustrated about her saying she was an advocate. And then we can keep going. And I hadn't really talked about her right here 3 months ago. So a month in between. There's 2 here on Katie with a month in between. Now, will I admit that there for a little bit I was kind of covering her more frequently? Yes, I was. But I mean, come on, guys. Compared to how some of the other creators who talk about her, she's really going to come in at me and say that I've made tons when there is maybe 10 videos. I would push maybe 15 on my channel max talking about her. So I've not made a ton of money. Some of the videos I've made on her, I wasn't even monetized when I made them. So she says, I know there were no inconsistencies. There was no abuse found. So I think at this point, Katie's thinking that I was trying to say that there were inconsistencies in her story on what was said. No, the only thing I was pointing out that was an inconsistency is she first said that the case was closed and that there weren't any findings. Then she said that the case was closed unfounded. And then she said that the case was closed false reporting. 3 very different ways to close a case. And I even showed that in how Minnesota works. So I was questioning what kind of investigation or assessment she may have had, or that there's an inconsistency on how it was closed. That is all this live stream was about. It was to have this conversation, to open the conversation to have in general. I'm not sure what this response was. No, it's not. I don't know if she was responding to me or to someone in the chat. There's this one. I'm sorry, I'm having to enlarge these as we go. She said your channel became monetized off of her name. Absolutely not. My channel actually became monetized primarily off of Micah Stauffer and their family situation, as well as the long stuff. I was not really covering Katie until after I was monetized. So, no, that's incorrect. Then she says, if my son is off limits, why are you talking about CPS suggesting they are? She says lives. I think she means to put lies. I can talk about CPS and not even mention your son, as I have done in multiple videos before, even when other people have brought it up. So I don't talk about your son. I kind of am one of the very few who actually respect the fact that you don't want him to be talked about, even though you will use him and you will utilize when you want to talk about him on your channel when you are in hot water. That is a pattern of yours I have noticed. But I have been respectful of you in the fact that you don't want people to talk about him, and I haven't. She then says, I have an email address. So do I, sweetheart. So do I. Two-way street there. Absolutely. I'm over that kind of stuff. It's a two-way street. This is where I get really freaking irritated, and I did not see this because she's lying. She is flat out lying. She puts in here, you messaged me when you were starting out to ask me how to improve your channel. Hell no. Do not lie. Please don't lie. If you want to say I'm gross, if you want to say I'm disgusting, like that is your opinion. Do not lie when I can prove that you lied, because that's exactly what I'm about to do. I am not going to show DMs from our most recent conversation. I am not going to go there. But what I am going to do is I absolutely am going to show the DMs from July when I reached out to you. And people might judge me for this, and that's okay. So July 6th of 2020, I reached out to her and I said, I wanted to reach out before posting tonight. I don't want to rub any other channels wrong, especially when we are fighting for the same situation. So here it goes. I hope you see this before tonight, so I am totally comfortable posting my video. I filmed a video referencing about providing my commentary about the Facebook group you uncovered. I have both professional and personal experiences in this world. There are some points you mentioned I don't fully agree with, and will be commenting and why I disagree and providing points where I agree and why. Just wanted to check with you before moving forward. I plan on posting it today or tomorrow evening. Hope you see this. Love your work and topics you discuss. Huge supporter. So apparently in July, I was still a big supporter of Katie's. I know I was on the fence there for a while. So she responds, keep in mind, this is still July 6th. Can you see that? Still July 6th. Thank you. You're welcome to share your commentary. Obviously, my opinion was formed based upon evidence you did not see. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Doesn't mean that your vocabulary you were using was incorrect. And I said, not a problem. It's nothing super bad, but I know people have been trying to come between you and Sloan, and I didn't want to start that way with anyone on the platform. This is when they were having, Katie was kind of stirring stuff up on Twitter. She said they do that with creators. I say, oh, for sure. With this sphere, the laws vary based on state to state. And then she asked me what I didn't agree with. And I said, I will be using info I know from my experience. So it's not so much I don't agree, more just my experience states otherwise, like guardianships and power of attorneys do work different. And she says, in this group, when they talk about guardianship, they're talking about a notarized piece of paper. That's not guardianship in most places, from my experience, which isn't filed anywhere. Guardianship has to be filed somewhere. I'm just saying. And then she says they aren't talking about legal guardianship. So in this little 3 responses, she already contradicts everything that she was saying. And that's pretty, I mean, you guys can read the rest of this conversation if you want. It is what it is. But I did not reach out to her for my channel growth. I reached out to her out of freaking respect. So don't lie. Please just don't lie. That's pretty much it. That is it. And then this, I allowed Friday at 2:56 to be seen because that's when I got a DM from her on Friday after the live stream. Where did I ask you? Where did I, please educate me on where I asked you on how to improve my channel, because the video I'm referencing in those DMs is still on my channel, and it was filmed in July and probably posted on the 7th or the 8th after we had that discussion. So no, ma'am, those are the only DMs. The only ones I didn't show were the ones from Friday that we had. Moving on. Then she says, why can't I engage in this chat? I think people at this point had maybe started to give her a little bit of pushback. It wasn't coming from me. Then she says, I'm not planting any doubts about inconsistencies. Again, clearly she did not listen to any part of the live stream, because I wasn't putting doubts or being skeptical about if CPS was at her house. I was being skeptical about how she has put out the case was closed. That was the only thing I was addressing and informing people of. She says she's honest. I mean, personally, I have seen a little bit differently, but that's my opinion. Then she said she's been clear with her audience. I would have to disagree. I wouldn't have felt compelled to make this live stream if you didn't provide the ammunition for me to feel that you were providing different inconsistencies. I have screenshots of all of the tweets that were put out and statements that were put out at different times stating that from you and your accounts, Katie, that the case was closed differently. She said, no, she's not. I think she's addressing someone in the chat there. Then she says, I have no issues. Again, I'm not sure if it was me or the chat she was addressing. Then she says, I'm welcome to be here with absolutely she was. If I didn't find she was welcome to be in my chat, I would have kicked her. I would have hidden her. I really do allow all opinions in my chat and all options because I do like to host conversations to be had. But she has to, when she goes into channels, she has to understand, like, it is an uphill battle for her. And I understand that. Sorry. I think a lot of people understand that who are willing to be objective. The problem is there has been so much with Katie that people have lost the ability to be objective with her. She has to identify that. And she said, I said, why are you planting doubt about her life? I mean, where have I, of all people, where have I planted doubt of her life? Somebody asked if she had made a comment in the chat about having trolls, and she says she doesn't have any. She then says that she's being respectful, which is quite funny because just a few minutes ago, she called me gross. She called what I was doing gross. She called what I was doing disgusting. I mean, that's not super respectful conversation, especially considering she's a grown woman. Like, people in the chat were trying to explain to Katie at this point that I had actually been defending her on a lot of points. And people were saying that I know what I'm talking about because there are people who've been on my channel and have heard me talk about this kind of stuff before. So her response was that she knows CPS too. And she said CPS closed the case, which if they were there, I'm sure they did close the case. My question wasn't if CPS was there. My question was how the case was actually closed. Then she says she knows what happened in her house. I sure hope you do. I mean, I don't know. Then she says she never called the police on a woman. And later she is going to mention a particular, what is it? News outlet? Is that what they would be called? And, I'm trying to find it because I did actually I sent myself the article. So when we get there, because that's why people always claim Katie called the police. There's this article. I will link it in my description if you want to go read it. I haven't read it in its entirety. I'm not going to lie. However, later Katie says that they weren't quoting her. They absolutely do quote her in this. I don't know. I'm trying to find where it's at. I may have to Control F to see. Yeah, here it is. I mean, you guys see this, right? This is from her. They're quoting her. So I mean, I don't know if she says in here that she called. I don't know. I'll link it. You guys can go read it if you want. But she does mention them and how they didn't say that. And we'll get there. But there it is. I didn't see where she called the police on the woman. Again, I haven't read the full article because I decided to leave it out of my live stream. I'm only including it now because then she says that was someone else. The Daily Best knew I was not a part of those people. you guys can go read the article and see. I don't know if it's mentioned in that article from Katie, her calling law enforcement. I don't know if she did call law enforcement or DCF on these people. I'm not going to say she did because personally, I don't know. I haven't done that research for that. Then she goes on to say someone in the chat, and I think the next one is just said that. Yeah. Someone in the chat just said that. I'm not sure what she's referencing, what was said in the chat. I did pay attention to the chat when I was taking her bits out, just for everybody else's privacy and like not to like dox them in any way. But nobody was really being mean to her until the end. Like the very last couple of minutes is when a few people started to call her some not so nice names, but I mean, it could be worse, to be honest. It wasn't that bad. I closed down the stream because I didn't want to be held accountable for people being nasty to her on my channel because I didn't want that to happen. And then here she starts kind of coming in a little bit more strong. And she says, how about you add me to the video? I don't hold panels. I've had like one collab, like live stream where it was a panel and that was with Sloan. And that was something that was planned. It took me like a day to figure out how to even set that up. So I would not be open to that. 1, 2, I'm not going to have somebody come bombard me on my channel. And that's absolutely what would have happened. This is her saying, no, she didn't call the police. I think it's in reference to that article. Then she says, I don't want to pressure you, but you just did. You just like demanded me to have you on my channel. And then she says, I only know you for your negative videos about me. Okay, guys, so we're going to go back. I'm going to pull my channel back over so we can go through this. This video here, that's not a negative video towards her. Okay, let's see. Where is... I think this is the one 3 weeks ago where I said I wasn't going to be talking about Katie unless she did something because the communities around everything has just gotten too much. That was 3 weeks ago. And in this video, this live stream, I pretty much defended her the entire time, which is just ironic that I'm the one who makes negative videos. I partially, like, I didn't watch a full video of hers and I reacted to it. If she thinks me reacting to her content is mean, then maybe you should question your own content that you put out. This one she could maybe say is mean when I talked about her advocacy, because I've pretty much stated, in my opinion, I don't believe she's an advocate. That's probably like the meanest video I've done, and I stand behind this video 100%, especially because of what I see continuing to happen with her and how she claims she's an advocate, but she absolutely doesn't show or reflect any kind of advocacy type tendencies. You wouldn't come into a live stream of somebody trying to break stereotypes and educate people about CPS if you were an advocate. I'm just saying. If we continue to go down, this one was probably a little bit mean. I was frustrated with some of the stuff she was saying and doing. This was me reacting to her video where she brags about CPS. And then I had an open discussion with you guys to answer questions after that. I talked about her here in passing with a couple of other dramas that were ongoing. This one you maybe could say isn't the nicest one, where I do my makeup in my style versus her style. I mean, people do these kind of videos all the time. If you want to say that that's a little bit mean, okay, maybe it was. I can see, I can argue that it was probably a little bit petty, but it was to make a point because she had made fun of someone else's makeup. These are just talking about when she was covering the case with the Longs. This is when these here are whenever the lawsuit first happened. All of these right here 4 months ago. And then I had covered clearly a whole bunch of other stuff, not focusing really on Katie. And then like the first Katie Joy video is up here somewhere. It's pretty old. So I got 1,000 subscribers 6 months ago. Okay. I stand with Sophie, talking about that right there, right there. Where had I really talked? Right here, I talked about Katie. And not all of my videos are loading right here, but I have my whole playlist of going through my adoption journey. I mean, I did not get monetized off of her, considering I'm monetized here. And then right around here is when I really start to talk about Katie Joy. There was like 2 other videos I did on Katie, one addressing her inconsistencies with her verbiage used in relation to that that conversation via DMs. And then the other one was when her and BX had their falling out. So most of my videos aren't negative about her. All right. And then she says here that she's not pressuring me. I mean, I don't know why else a larger creator is going to come into another creator's chat and call them disgusting, gross, say that I'm doing things I'm not. Then she responded to the chat and said there's nothing to control, because people were saying you only want to go on panel to control. And I guess Katie's trying to say that there was nothing she could control. It really depends on who you're talking to. If you have somebody who has a passive personality and you with a larger following gets on their channel, they may be more passive and they may not address you the way that they would want to. I mean, there is a way for you to control the narrative being said. It also would have given you the opportunity to twist whatever I said and try and make it seem something else on your own platform. She says here she hasn't lied about CPS. Again, I've never said she lied. I said there were inconsistencies in how she stated her case was closed. Then she says that she's talking to the chat, which to me is kind of ironic because she doesn't let her own chat talk to each other. They can only address her and they have to stay on topic. Again, she says she's talking to the chat. And I mean, you guys, if you're paying attention, you can see how quickly these messages were being rapid fired out. Then she says, how can I show receipts? I think this is when I addressed and said, listen, like my reason for saying inconsistencies is because you've provided different ways on how your case was closed. I didn't ask her for receipts, but I guess me saying that means that she, in her mind, automatically jumped to how can I show receipts? I mean, that's on you, not on me. Then she says, I don't have receipts. The case was closed. However, in the video I did that you guys just saw reacting to her bragging about her CPS case, she had a letter. And I'm pretty sure here in a little bit, she says that she got a letter. Then she said she's not being rude. She's entering here, which I mean, at this point, she had been in the stream for 15 minutes and she was pretty hostile. I mean, calling the person who is hosting the live chat gross and disgusting is... Then she says she's been honest about her experience with CPS. Again, she seems to have gotten hung up on the fact that I think she thought I was saying she was a liar, which I wasn't. Then she says that they accused her husband of punching her son. I guess she's saying that that's what the allegations were. And then she says, we had CPS in our home. They interviewed my husband, I, and our nurses. I mean, that's how CPS operates. Did she not hear how I prefaced this whole live stream? I don't even know why she says this or thinks that this is relevant. She says that the sheriff was at her house 2 days ago. Okay, like, me of all people, I've never questioned the authorities showing up to her house. I've believed her. I have no reason. I know other people will question everything that she says and does. I believe the fact that people are doing this. I mean, call me whatever you want for that. I mean, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm also not naive and I'm not foolish. Just because I give you the benefit of the doubt doesn't mean that I'm going to believe everything you say. You may think I believe everything you say, but I don't. Again, it's a skill you learn in doing that kind of work. So then she says someone filed a 7-page report against accusing her of medical abuse. Like, why is that even relevant? You're coming to my channel, you're calling me disgusting, you're calling me gross, you're saying what I'm doing is disgusting, you're saying I'm just monetizing stuff off of you, which I wasn't. And then you're going to put on here that there's another report filed and that law enforcement was back out at your house. I mean, that logically, that makes no sense. Then I think she's answering somebody when she says she doesn't have any socks. She says you are fine. I don't know who that was in reference to, whether it be myself or someone in the chat. Then she says she's answering questions to the chat. No one was asking her questions in the chat. I reviewed the chat. No one was asking her any legitimate questions. They were being rhetorical and they were answering her questions and trying to get her to back off. Someone did call her a victim and she said she wasn't being a victim. Which, coming onto my channel like that, to me, does not scream victim mentality in this instance. It kind of says predatory to come to a smaller creator. And I don't feel that she bullied me, but I think it was her intention to get whatever narrative she wanted out and for me to maybe feel a little bit scared or feel like I should back off because she came to my channel. Clearly, that's not how I work here. I'm not going to be scared off. I've learned from previous issues that I'm going to say my piece, clear my name when needed to be cleared, and just move on, which is what I intend to do with this. So then she says the closure was, they came here, they did, I'm not sure what that's supposed to say, something interviews, and then we received a letter saying it was closed. I mean, that's typically how an investigation is operated. How was your case closed, though? Like, you just keep saying the case was closed. Here, you're not willing to potentially put out another, you're not willing to, like, cross the line again here by not saying how it was actually closed. She says that they interviewed her nurses the same day, which I wouldn't doubt. Again, she's saying she doesn't have any sock accounts. I don't know why that's relevant, why she's engaging with people who are clearly just trying to get a rise out of her in the chat. Then she says she's not pressuring anyone. Her presence alone on a smaller channel could be pressuring. That's the last comment she sends. And then she does, and then she did, like I said, she did reach out to me. Again, it's not changing my opinion about how this live stream was done, what my intention was behind the live stream. And I guess in closing, kind of what I want to say is to all of my new subscribers, I do want to let everyone know I don't cover Katie all of the time. I'm likely to probably not discuss her until there's some pretty serious problematic behavior with her that I feel I should address. But she's not someone, you can tell just by my content. Typically, my videos on her are spaced out pretty far because, to be honest, she's not that interesting to me. If we wanted to harp on her for every problematic behavior she had, we would be here all day, every day, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. People are hypercritical of her, though. I can understand why people are. I can also argue why people shouldn't be. You know, I made this video really to just be closure, not only for myself to address the few things that really bothered me with what she was saying and how she was talking to me, but also for those who have come to my channel. You now kind of know my history with Katie, how I plan on really not covering her much moving forward. And it gives people who can't see what she said the ability to see all of the comments that she did say and me actually reacting and providing where I stand behind each comment and how I feel about behind each comment. At the end of the day, how she acted and what was done on this live stream goes to show that she expects people to treat her like she is better than them. And I don't mean that in a way to be negative to anyone else, but she came onto my chat expecting me to just only address her, to not address anyone else. And when I wasn't doing that, she kind of backed off. But then she tried to reinforce that by trying to have me bring her on my channel. She says she doesn't like when people call her names, and yet she came into a chat. She clearly didn't know what was being talked about and called me nasty names. They're not the worst names. I know she's been called far worse. I'm not going to say she hasn't, but you have to be self-aware. You really do. And I hope Katie did go back and watch my video from the conversation I did have with her. She had not done so. I'm hoping she has since. But if she hasn't, like, that's her prerogative. She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. I don't know what'll happen if she ever tries to come into someone else's chat. I was as respectful and willing to hear her out as I could be. I hope this closes the door for everyone else like it kind of does for me. I don't plan on making any follow-up video. However, I will leave this caveat, and it's not meant for anything other than just saying I do have the DMs. I do not plan on ever releasing them unless I'm lied about. If somebody tries to spin a narrative or tries to lie about stuff, I will leak those DMs when it's necessary. So I'm not saying that in any kind of way to say, like, just don't lie. Give your experience. If Katie wants to talk about this situation and how she felt and why she came into the chat, she is more than welcome to, and I'm not going to respond to it. But if lies are spread about me, or someone tries to question my integrity or where I came from in making this video, I really hope they actually watch the video and understand why I'm confident in talking about things like this. If I wasn't so confident, I wouldn't make videos like that. So guys, in wrapping up, I just want to say I do appreciate everybody who maybe has made it this far. I appreciate everyone who's been a part of this channel. Once I get to 3,000 subscribers, I am going to have a giveaway, so it's not very far away for that to happen. I'm in the process of getting everything together for that, so hopefully I can send it out to one of you guys. Once that threshold is met, I will talk about how to become a part of getting the requirements to receive it. So with all of that being said, as I say in the beginning, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to leave them down below. If you are uncomfortable doing so, you can always reach out to me on other social medias or email. They should be linked down in the description. But without further ado, I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you are. And until next time, bye guys.